Every single morning when I wake up, one thing that I know that is waiting for me in my email inbox is a competitive and industry news report. This is super helpful as a marketer, and since you probably work in marketing, you probably know that this is part of your job, but it's something you don't always have the time to do. So today in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you could set up your Perplexity tasks once in 5 minutes, and it's going to continue to give you all of the intel that you really need to stand out at your job, to really show that you're staying on top of your job as a marketer, and give you the industry trends and insights that you can act on right in your inbox every single morning. If you're watching this video, you probably know the feeling of being in a meeting where somebody says something and it makes you think, God, how did I miss that? I should have known about it. But what we want to do is get rid of that feeling. So you're the one coming to the table with the insights, and the other person is coming to the table and saying, what do you got for me? You're always on top of the news. That's what we're going to accomplish today. If you're new here, my name is Farouk, but most of my friends call me Rook for short. And what you need to know about me is I spent 10 years working in big advertising agencies in New York City and on brands like TD Ameritrade, IBM, American Express, Nationwide Insurance. So you can be assured that I know a thing or two about competitive audits. So to kick things off, let's talk about exactly what we're going to cover today in this video. First, we're going to talk about why you can't do the same thing in Claude or ChatGPT, which most people think you can. Then we're going to talk about what exactly are we searching for anyway. Maybe you have a really good idea of everything you need to actually search for and be on top of as a marketer, but if you don't, well, I'm going to give them to you, and down in the description are prompts and skills that you can take and then use to set up your Perplexity tasks. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to set it up step by step. Every button click, we're going to jump into Perplexity and do it really fast. You're going to see it's really easy to set up, and then you're going to have your competitive audit. So let's get into it. Now, whenever I talk to people about this, one huge misconception they have is that they could just set this up in Claude or a Gemini or a ChatGPT, and that is simply not true for the quick reason I'm about to explain to you. Perplexity is fundamentally different from a Claude or a Gemini or a ChatGPT. These are all large language models, but the thing about Perplexity that's different is it has something called a retrieval augmented generation system. And don't click away, because it's not as scary as it sounds, I swear, but it's called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And the reason why this is important is because what RAG does is bring in real-time information. So when you're using a Claude, or it looks up what has happened based on this user's query and how can I answer it based on the most complete information. It's up to date to the second. So if a basketball game just ended 3 minutes ago, you can ask Perplexity about it and it is up to date. It'll tell you that the game just ended and give you the stats and everything like that. So that's why this is different from a Claude or a ChatGPT or a Gemini. And I wanted you to understand that, because it feels like you're doing the same thing and the outputs look the same if you approach it the same way, but it is absolutely not. And it's a mistake that'll lead to results that just aren't as good because it wasn't built this way. And then finally, with Perplexity 2, you can also look up sources. So every single thing it pulls in sources along with it. So then you could see and click through each and every source. Where did this come from? When was it released? And all that kind of stuff. So knowing how these things work on the back end is one thing, but a whole nother thing is knowing what to search for. As a marketer, a lot of people jump straight to competition, but I would say that's like the low-hanging fruit. There are other things that you should be looking for when searching for competitive information, and that's what we're about to talk about in this next section. So what are the 3 things that we need to search for? What are those key 3 things that every marketer should be on top of, regardless of what brand they work for and whatever they're tracking? Number 1 is the overall pulse and consumer trends. And what I mean by this is, what is the pulse of things that are happening in your industry at this time? Obviously, things change every single day, especially with social media, with AI, the world's moving fast. So one thing you want to keep on is the overall pulse. I like to use CrossFit as an example. I don't know why, I just do. It just comes to mind first. But if you're running a CrossFit gym and keeping your mind on the pulse overall of what's happening, maybe last week there was a big, revolt against CrossFit. Maybe like the creator of CrossFit or like the 3 biggest CrossFit gyms did something horrible and now people hate CrossFit. So now you're looking at the overall pulse of what's happening in the market, not just saying what is everyone else doing, but how do people really feel about this in this moment right now based on other things that are happening. So that's the overall pulse, but also in this category, I add consumer trends. So what are people doing and why? Did Kim Kardashian just go to 3 CrossFit classes in a row and post like an Instagram series about it or something like that. You need to know those things because obviously they impact your industry in other ways that your competitors aren't. And even better yet, you might catch things and be on them first before your competitor because you're looking at this layer before you're looking at what is everyone else doing in my industry. Second, and this is kind of related to the first one, is overall sentiment. So what is happening around your industry that makes people feel differently about it? This one sounds like the first one, but it's a little more emotionally resonant. And it's a little more kind of, if you're looking for backlash or if anybody is like saying something that throws off your whole category, that's what you'd be looking for in sentiment. How do people feel about this thing? What is the overall trend kind of happening? What's the sentiment around it? And how are you going to capitalize on that, or what should you know about it that changes your actual strategy or changes your business? And then finally, number 3 is the competitive information. This is the one you already know. This is the one everyone thinks of first. But really, I would argue that in those other 2 categories I just explained, if you can make an impact in those other 2 categories first before your competitors, you'll be way ahead of your competitors and everyone will be following you anyway. But thinking of marketing 101, of course, you need to track your competitors. And this is how you do it. This is category number 3. Okay, so now you know exactly what we need to search for, but let's talk about how to do it. Let's go into Perplexity and actually set this up so you get it right straight to your phone, your email inbox, anywhere you want. Into your AI tool, it can send it anywhere you want. Let's set it up. Okay, now we're inside Perplexity and we're gonna do this step by step. So the first thing you're gonna do is go to your account settings. So actually tasks are a little bit hidden. I don't know why they did this, but it used to be kind of more Front Street, just easier to find. But anyway, you're going to go into here in this side panel, and then you're going to go to preferences. After preferences, you're going to see notifications, and you're going to click in there because I guess that's how Perplexity thinks of it. And this is how you're going to set up a task. So you can see here, create a scheduled search. They actually renamed this. It used to be called task. Now it's scheduled search. And now so what I'm doing is I'm looking at a side screen that I have over here, and I'm just copying and pasting a pre-made prompt that I had. So copy, and I'm going to paste this here. So this is the first prompt. This is the one about the overall pulse and consumer trends. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's skim it real quick so you can get an idea. These are down in the description again if you want to use them for yourself and fill in the blank. So this one, I'm using my CrossFit gym example. As usual, I own a CrossFit gym and need to stay on top of what happened in the CrossFit world this past week and what broader fitness trends I should lean into to market my CrossFit gym. Then it says cover both angles, the weekly pulse. Summarize the top 5 to 7 stories from the past week, including trending content, viral moments, major discussions on Reddit and social media, and any notable news about athletes, the sport, or CrossFit brand itself. And then it also does the same for the trend intelligence. Identify emerging consumer behavior and fitness trends gaining momentum that are relevant to CrossFit and high intensity training. So over here, you can add connectors and sources. I usually like to add social as a source, so you can add Reddit. So obviously a lot of people talk on Reddit about a whole bunch of stuff, so that this would probably be a good source for that. And if you wanted to, I'm not going to, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to turn on deep research for this, which basically means Perplexity searches for more sources. So usually if it would search for 20 sources, it'll look for 50 to 80 sources or whatever. I don't know exact numbers, but it just goes deeper. But for this example, I'm just going to set it up. For the model, my current favorite is Sonnet 4.6. So I'm going to choose that with thinking. So it's a little bit smarter, DK. And I'm going to go to the next step. So what that's going to do is ask me some more questions to make sure I set it up right. So it's going to ask if I want it in a space. A space is basically just a category for stuff. So if you want to like make a research space, so this is always in your research space, so you could just always go look it up. You could do that. And then whatever interval you want, if you want this daily, if your industry changes that much, if you just want it one time, so you could just pick one time and it'll run at that time. I don't really know why somebody would use that. And you pick your notification platform. So you want the Perplexity app to notify you? Do you want an email and mobile? And there are model options. Again, I picked Claude Sonnet, and there's some other cool stuff here. I don't want to get into this because it's not the point of this video, but some other cool stuff there, and you're gonna hit save and it's gonna give you a report. So I set this for weekly Mondays at 9 a.m. But what I'm gonna do really quick is show you an old report that I set up just so you can see what it actually looks like, since you can't see what it looks like here. So in another chat, I set this up just so you guys could see what this looks like and like what is in it, and just so you guys can get a feel of what it actually looks like. So we got the CrossFit Weekly Intelligence Report. Part 1, top CrossFit stories this week. Mayhem Classic wraps. The 2026 Mayhem Classic wrapped this week and was the first official CrossFit semifinal of the season, so a big CrossFit event. Quarterfinals winners confirmed. So the 2026 CrossFit quarterfinals, again, another big event. Number 3, 2026 games season structure and dates set. So again, a big event. Air National Guard and new sponsor partnerships. CrossFit announced a partnership with the Air National Guard as a presenting sponsor of the 2026 season. So maybe something there. I don't know. Maybe you know someone at the National Guard, or you can talk to someone about the partnership. Maybe they're making content around it. I don't know. I don't know much about CrossFit. But you could see how this would be helpful is the bigger point. And then jump into part 2, the fitness and gym industry trends. Gen Z is now your member, not a future cohort. The most critical demographic shift, 47% of all new gym joins of 2025 came from Gen Z. And then boom, you could see there, that would get the gears going if I owned a CrossFit gym. I would probably look more into this. You can highlight and add to follow up here in Perplexity if you want to click that and add it to your next search. But that's very interesting to me. And then hybrid digital / in-club is becoming standard. Hybrid fitness bundling in-club and digital access is projected to become the default model for fitness operators in 2026. This is all interesting stuff that I had no clue about. It's getting my gears working just as a marketer. So if you own a CrossFit gym, or if you own some kind of fitness studio, you can already see how this would be popular, even if it was once a month, even if it was once every other month, so you could kind of let news circulate. It just keeps you on top of things in a whole different way that you don't even need to look up. And just like that, you just set up your first Perplexity task, whether it's monthly, weekly, daily, however often you set it up that works for you. I hope that you open it and then it just takes you to new levels in your marketing. Now you might be thinking, what else can I do with this Perplexity task thing? It's really cool. And one thing you can do obviously is turn some of your findings into content. And if you want to know how to do that with the help of AI and actually make it sound like you using my 2-part system, you should watch this video next. I'm just getting started here on YouTube, but what I do is help solo marketing teams survive and thrive, and also get ready for this future where marketing teams are shrinking. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely follow me for more.